At the height of his success, Lev Tolstoy was the most celebrated writer in Russia, perhaps in the world. He had written War and Peace, a novel so grand in scope that it redefined literature. He had followed it with Anna Karenina, a story so emotionally powerful that even today, it is considered one of the greatest novels of all time. Tolstoy had it all: wealth, prestige, a loving family, and intellectual mastery. He was admired, respected, and envied. By all conventional measures, he had won at life. Yet, as he approached his 50s, a dark realization consumed him. None of it mattered. No achievement, no amount of admiration, and no level of personal success could answer a terrifying question that had begun to haunt him. What is the meaning of life? At first he ignored it. He buried himself in his work, distracted himself with social engagements, and continued his routine. But the question never left. It whispered to him at night, lurked in his thoughts during the day, and gradually, it became an obsession. One day Tolstoy could no longer resist. He sat down and faced the question directly. And what he found terrified him. If life has no meaning, why should I continue living? The collapse of a great mind, Tolstoy's existential breakdown. Tolstoy's existential crisis was not a fleeting moment of doubt. It was a complete and total breakdown of his understanding of life. He described his despair as standing on the edge of a cliff, staring into an abyss. He compared himself to a traveler lost in a forest, wandering aimlessly with no path forward. He wrote, "The question brought me to the edge of suicide. I had a rope, and I knew I could hang myself from the branch of a tree." At his lowest point, he removed hunting rifles from his house, not because he feared burglars but because he feared he would use them on himself. He had everything yet felt nothing. His crisis was so severe that he divided people into 4 groups. The ignorant, those who never questioned life's meaning. They simply lived without asking why. The hedonists, those who knew life had no meaning but distracted themselves with pleasure. The courageous, those who, upon realizing life was meaningless, ended their lives. The weak, those who saw life as meaningless but were too afraid to die, so they suffered in silence. Tolstoy placed himself in the 4th category. He saw no way forward. So, he did the only thing he could: he began searching for an answer. The search for meaning, Tolstoy turns to philosophy, science, and religion. He read Socrates, Plato, Kant, Schopenhauer, and many others. He searched for an answer that would give life meaning. But he found none. Philosophy gave him theories but no real answers. Science explained how the world worked but not why. Logic told him that human existence was random, temporary, and insignificant. He asked himself, if the greatest minds in history could not find the meaning of life, how could I? Still he searched. He read religious texts, studied ancient teachings, and explored different traditions. He turned to Christianity, but the institution of the church felt empty and hypocritical. He saw corruption, power struggles, and a focus on rituals rather than deep wisdom. He began to lose hope. He had exhausted the knowledge of scholars, the wisdom of philosophers, and the teachings of religions, yet he was still lost. Then he looked at the one group of people he had never considered before: peasants. To Tolstoy's surprise, these were the people who had found peace. Unlike scholars or intellectuals, they didn't debate the meaning of life, they simply lived it. They worked, raised families, helped each other, and accepted the hardships of life with a quiet resilience. They didn't rely on intellectual theories, they had something deeper: faith and action. Tolstoy realized something shocking. Maybe the meaning of life is not something you think about. Maybe it's something you experience. Tolstoy's revelation: the meaning of life is created, not found. Tolstoy finally understood. The search for meaning is a trap. The more we search for it intellectually, the further we drift from it. Because meaning is not a question to be answered. It is a way of living. Tolstoy discovered that true meaning comes from connection, helping and supporting others. Simplicity, living with intention, without distraction. Faith, not religious faith necessarily, but trust in something greater than yourself. Purposeful work, creating, building, and contributing to the world. Tolstoy abandoned his previous way of life. He rejected his aristocratic status, gave up his wealth, and embraced a life of simplicity. He lived like the peasants, working the land, engaging in acts of kindness, and focusing on the small, real moments that gave life depth. And for the first time, he found peace. Life's meaning is not found in thoughts. It is found in how you live. How Tolstoy's lesson applies to us today. We live in a world obsessed with success, status, and external validation. We chase money, fame, and achievement, believing they will bring us happiness. But Tolstoy's story reveals a deep truth. No matter how much we achieve, if we don't have a deeper purpose, we will feel empty. Many people today suffer from the same crisis Tolstoy did. They feel lost despite having more than they need. Depression and anxiety are at all-time highs. People distract themselves with social media, entertainment, and consumption, avoiding the same question Tolstoy faced. What is the meaning of my life? Tolstoy's answer is simple but profound. Stop chasing external success. Stop overanalyzing life. Stop waiting for meaning to find you. Instead, start living. Build deep relationships. Focus on work that matters. Help others. Engage in something bigger than yourself. Because at the end of the day, life's meaning is not a mystery. It is a choice. If Tolstoy's journey made you think, you have two choices. You can close this video, continue scrolling, and go back to distracting yourself. Or you can start living a life where meaning isn't a question, it's an experience. If you're serious about understanding the deeper truths of life, subscribe to this channel. We explore philosophy, psychology, and the ideas that actually shape who we are. Hit like if this video made you think. Share it if you know someone who needs to hear this. Because in the end, life is not something you figure out. It's something you live.